they're not really creating any value. There's no differentiation there. How is it that the average first-level employee in a large organization today is buried under 8 or more layers of management? What hope do those people have? You know, authority trickles down, and at each stage, the next layer carves out a little bit more of their own decision rights. By the time you get to the bottom, there's precious little autonomy that's left. Think how long it takes to get a decision made through those layers. Think of the helplessness that people on the front lines have in making smart decisions. How is it that 68% of people working in large organizations believe that new ideas are greeted with hostility and skepticism? This is from a survey we did with the Harvard Business Review. They feel their managers have little patience for out there ideas. They feel there are few rewards for trying something new. And the problem with creativity is not on the supply side. People are plenty creative. The problem is on the demand side. And that our organizations have little room for the curiosity, the ingenuity, the passion that is part of what makes us all human. Maybe here's the most worrying data of all. Again, from a large survey, 10,000 people we did. That 76% of those working in large organizations say the way you get to the top is by mastering the dark arts of bureaucracy. The way you get to the top is not competence or not leadership. I will come back to this. It is not. The way you get to the top is you learn how to negotiate targets, how to hoard resources, how to manage up, how to manage the optics of your performance, how to burnish your image, how to stiff-arm colleagues, how to protect your prerogatives. So no, none of this is okay. This is the reality. Let's not pretend otherwise. None of it's okay. But we shouldn't be surprised, because virtually every organization today is still built atop bureaucratic principles. The principles of top-down, the principles of compliance. And 100 and so years ago, Max Weber, the famous German sociologist, he said, bureaucracy develops the more perfectly, the more it is dehumanized. And by that measure, our organization should be pretty damn perfect by now. Because the underlying ideology of bureaucracy is control. And in any language, if you take the word manage as a verb, and you go to thesaurus and you look up management, the word manage as a verb, number one synonym is to control. And so employees create products and services, managers control, staff people control. This is how you justify your value added, by weighing in on decisions, by creating policies. And so bureaucracy grows like a ratchet. Every time there's a new crisis, we get a new CXO, the chief experience officer, the chief digital officer, the chief transformation officer, and so on. They build a new fiefdom. The organization grows. Again, let me show you a little data. We've done this in several countries. This is U.S. data, but again, I think pretty much the same around the world. Here what you see is the growth of the bureaucratic class. These are managers, supervisors, administrators, support staff. We took IT out. This does not include the growth of the IT function. But that green line, you can see that indexed to 1983, the size of the bureaucratic class has more than doubled. And this is true in most economies, where all other job types have grown by only 44%. And by the way, we backed out external compliance. This is not including, working on government. This is internal compliance. And if you break that down kind of by organization, what you find is that in the average organization, 14% of the head count are managers. They take about a third of the compensation. 14% of the head count. Another 4% is support staff, HR, planning, finance, and so on. And then 13% of everybody else's time is devoted to dealing with all that bureaucratic paper pushing. So essentially, in developed economies, a third of all human effort is going into bureaucratic tasks. And our research, our data says we would have no problem in cutting that by half. And if we did, if we could cut the bureaucratic load by half, we reallocate all of that effort, we would grow GDP in the UK by about 800 billion pounds. We'd grow it across the OECD by about $9 trillion, and there is no other productivity solution on the horizon. Not investment incentives, not better training, nothing that would have the same economic effect as dealing with the pernicious effects of bureausclerosis, which Jamie Dimon at J.P. Morgan Chase has called a disease, and I think he's right. And you've seen these dynamics. You all work in organizations. You know what happens. As I say, I live in Silicon Valley. I see all these young companies grow up, amazing companies.